Just like Terminator 2, Rocky 2, Transformers 2, so many sequels, Tiger King 2 falls the same way. But before I get into my review of this movie, please consider this your spoiler warning, because I will be talking spoiler-ish. You've been warned. You've been Tiger warned. No, I'm just kidding. So, anyways, this sequel, if it could be called that, definitely comes up short in comparison to the original. Now, when I heard that this was coming out, I knew it wasn't going to live up to the hype because Tiger King came out of nowhere. We were just going into quarantine, and a lot of us kind of just got hooked because we had the extra time to spend to look at it, to watch it, and it became this, phenomenon throughout, American culture, that he just, something about this character just took us and we're like, wow, we can't believe like there's, these kind of people out here. And I just didn't know when people were saying, oh, there's going to be a sequel. I was like, well, what are you going to do? It's literally going to be like a follow up. Like, you know how there's these reality shows and after they have the Bachelor, or that's the only one that comes, Bachelorette, or so, any one of these freaking reality shows that come up. And even like the not even reality shows, just some of these series like The Walking Dead and things like that, when the season is over, they have these like follow-ups. So like meet the cast and we're gonna have extra, just like another full 1 hour 2 hour long episodes where they're basically just going about kind of getting to know the cast and whatnot, and just having fun, meeting the cast, and if that makes a little bit of sense. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm doing a very, very bad job at trying to eloquently describe what those things are. But if you've watched any of those reality shows, after the season's done, they have these like, watch party or talking thrones or talking zombies or whatever. So this felt like that. It has very little Tiger King besides the top of his nose and up with his, I guess, dyed hair or his neat little haircut that he has, because he can't. I'm assuming he can't dye it blonde, so now it's back to the brown, I guess, brown or black. But you really only go see this, and of course he's in jail, so I wasn't expecting like they were gonna allow cameras in there. I mean, he's in there for a very serious crime, so I wasn't expecting that he was gonna be, oh yeah, let's have cameras all over in the jail just to film this. So it's basically what I expected, and it should have been named like Tiger King, the Carol Baskin story, because that's what it's centered around, Carol Baskins and where her husband was, and all these things, just the other characters, and a little bit about Jeff Lowe and other people or other animal handlers or big cat, what do they call them? Big cat game, I guess, that knew Joe. But it was such a disappointment. The way it's shot, it's never going to disappoint, because it felt like one of those murder mystery channels or those documentaries. They filmed it and they edited it in a way where you have to keep on looking. And I sat there and I watched it. They weren't too long. I sat there and watched it. There are 5 episodes and they're roughly like around 44 minutes long to maybe 50 minutes long per episode. So it's not a long watch. It'll take like 4 hours of your time to go from start to finish. And it just felt like, okay, nothing, you didn't really accomplish nothing. Yes, there might be some new evidence that might let Joe Exotic out of jail if it's deemed to be true. We don't know that yet. But it felt just like very anticlimactic after what we saw in the original Tiger King. And like I said earlier, that is to be expected. So if you're invested in the Tiger King, then I would recommend for you to watch it, just to get more I guess, involved in the mythos that is Joe Exotic and his life. But if you didn't really like the first Tiger King, just don't bother watching this. It's all fan service as far as like, you know, people that want to see Carol Baskins go to jail or guilty. And actually, towards the end of it, it makes her look more innocent than anything, because I think there was like her husband was a piece of shit, the one that everybody thinks that he fed to the tigers. And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, it wasn't in the show, but or maybe it was, and that's what they hinted at. But I saw it in a news article that her husband is actually alive, not dead. There's no death in there. I think there was a leak in some news channel or some news outlet that he was actually alive and he made contact with an FBI agent. Now this guy is full of like money laundering and dirty money, so it throws a whole lot more shade on him than it does on Carol. Stuff that they should have incorporated in the first season, because if it turns out that she is actually innocent, and I mean, it depends on your definition of innocent, right? Because she does still come off as a gold digger and she wants whatever is owed to her, and she does come a little bit abrasive, and she definitely comes off as a Karen. Should be Karen Baskin, right? Am I right? But the amount of death threats, the amount of criticism, the amount of people just hating on her, the way she was portrayed in the first Tiger King, and not including it. I mean, if you would have included that whole part of Carol Baskin and her husband in the first season, I think you could have negated some of that. But maybe the show didn't want to do that, or maybe the reason why there is a Tiger King 2 was to kind of throw that into, like, saying, hey, I know you guys are all kind of making it up to her because of all the new evidence that has come out, that yeah, she might, she might be abrasive, she might be a B word, she might be even a C word, if you will. But the amount, if she's innocent, of course, if no evidence ever comes out, and we find out that her husband is alive somewhere in like Brazil, Argentina, Costa Rica, wherever the hell, and given the fact of what he was involved in, the prostitution, the young woman prostitution, the money laundering, just the little sneaky stuff that he was doing, I think as a culture, a society, we probably owe Carol Baskins an apology. Everyone else, from Jeff Lowe to, the regular squad that we got to, I mean, we found out that Joe's gonna get a divorce, or his husband doesn't, is messing with some other young guys and stuff like that. So he's single, and I guess if you like Joe Exotic, there's an application to be his new husband. So it was like the regular. Not all of them came back to this, but enough to just kind of, after you watch it, you're like, oh, okay, it's gonna. But then again, it just gives you enough to whet the appetite, but doesn't fill you up. Doesn't nothing. I thought the more interesting character out of this was like Tony Stark's cousin, Tim Stark. Just kidding. They're not related. But I thought that you could have a whole spin-off series with just, Tim Stark, because that mother freaker is crazy on another level. Yeah, he bloats a lot. He's a lot of bark, but no bite. But I found his crazy antics kind of more entertaining than the first 4 episodes before he gets introduced. So I thought that, they have a great opportunity, or I'm thinking that they have a great opportunity to kind of do a spin-off with just, Tim Stark. But maybe there wasn't all that, mystery and murder and all that other crap. He was just a loudmouth that, bragged a lot and used a lot of cuss words and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it was just a little kitty cat because he had no bite. But anyways, for me, this series is a miss. It was somewhat entertaining. Yeah, it was. But again, nothing to the phenomenon that was season 1 and our exposure to Tiger King in season 1. And sequels are fairly that good, right? That's why I started with the mentions of the sequels, because, they're always a letdown. I mean, Iron Man 2 was a letdown. You know, Thor 2 was a letdown. Captain America, well, Captain America, that's pretty good. You know, Harry Potter, the second one was kind of a letdown. So, you know, what we get? Rambo 2 was a letdown. Okay, I could go on and on and on. You know what I mean. But as far as this one, I could have done without it. But I appreciate the effort that they did. And, I mean, I watched it also. They got me to watch it. So, what, you know, color me a sucker. But anyways, I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.